Hello, is this the right number for Brianne Burns? This is your landlord, Ellen.
My landlord? Yeah, this is Brianne. Why are you texting me?
The other day, you told me you'd prefer talking over text messages instead of phone calls.
I guess I probably said that. So,
I wanted to talk to you about your garbage. Do you have a minute?
again, I'm putting it out before 8 a.m., just like you told me to.
Thank you, but unfortunately got a complaint from one of the other tenants. I was informed that you've been mixing regular garbage in with your recyclables.
I bet it was that nasty woman who lives down the hall from me. She complains about every little thing. I caught her looking through my garbage.
I wasn't aware of that.
She's done it a bunch of times. You're the landlord. You need to make sure things like that don't happen. Who even looks through other people's garbage? That's disgusting.
I agree that's not acceptable. I'll be sure to warn her not to do that anymore. In return, I'd like to ask you to please be a little more careful about sorting your garbage.
Whatever you say. It's super annoying, but I guess I have to.
Thank you so much.
One other thing. I've been hearing cats lately. I was under the impression that pets weren't allowed in this building.
That's right. Pets aren't allowed.
I thought so. I hear meowing coming from one of the other apartments on my floor. Someone definitely has a cat. I guess you didn't know that either, huh?
One of the duties of the cleaning staff is to inform me if there's any pet odor from around the building or coming from any of the apartments. They haven't mentioned anything to me recently. I'll double check with them.
Yeah, you do that. If I knew people were bringing pets home, I would have gotten a cat for myself.
Unfortunately, that's not allowed. You could just be hearing a stray cat who lives around the building, not in it. I think it's breeding season for them, so they're extra noisy.
Whatever. Just tell that creepy woman to stop looking through my garbage.
Understood. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. And thank you for your cooperation about your trash.
Ellen! That annoying old woman just yelled at me in the hallway.
She did? What happened?
She complained about me working late. She thinks there's something wrong with me working at night instead of during the day, like most people. She told me only criminals work late at night. You're ruining the reputation of this building. What's her problem? She's a psycho.
She may be upset because I warned her not to look through your garbage.
I bet she's stalking me now. You're the landlord. Kick her out of the building.
Unfortunately, it's not that simple. Would you like me to talk with her again? Although if she reacted that way, the last time I warned her, it may aggravate her more.
Tell her to stop. She wasn't even making sense. She's probably on drugs or something.
I'm sorry that happened to you.
Don't worry. I gave that hag a piece of my mind.
I don't think that's the best idea. That's only going to escalate the situation. I understand how you feel, but I think it's best to refrain from that. Also, I think using language like hag and annoying old woman might not be the best idea, especially if you're saying it directly to her.
Yeah, you're probably right. You get me though, right? I wanted to rip her head off.
I completely understand why you'd feel that way.
She also said something to me about her daughter studying for the SATs or something. She said I was being too loud going up the stairs when I get home late at night. Can you tell her? She's an absolute psycho. What am I supposed to do? Crawl up the stairs so I don't make noise?
I won't say it that way, but I'll make sure to tell her you're being as quiet as possible when you come home.
She's literally the only person that seems to have a problem with me. Why would you even let someone like her start living here in the first place?
Actually, my father was the landlord back when she moved in.
Oh yeah, I remember. The old landlord was some old guy.
That's my dad.
Is that right? He was a really good guy. I'm grateful he let me live here without a guarantor. The building may look a little old from the outside, but the apartment itself is so nice. Not to mention, it's cheaper than most other places around here.
I bet my dad is smiling up in heaven hearing you say that.
Heaven? You mean he's dead?
Yes. That's why I'm your landlord now.
I had no idea. I'm so sorry.
Don't worry about it. I've made my peace with his passing.
Okay. By the way, did you ever figure out who has the cat?
Oh, yeah, about that. I asked around and everyone said they didn't have a cat. It was probably just some strays hanging around the building.
They definitely wouldn't admit it if they really did have one. But now that I think about it, it might not have been a cat.
What do you mean?
I think it might actually been a baby crying or something. Maybe I'm crazy, but it sounded more like a baby than a cat.
A baby? I'm not sure if that's possible either. No one in the building has any children.
Oh, really? It must have been a baby across the street.
One of the other tenants could have invited a friend with a baby over.
Maybe. I guess it doesn't matter. It never wakes me up or anything. I just thought it was annoying.
Well, even if it did, there's not much you can do for a crying baby. Anyway, I'll talk with Mrs. Lorraine for you and let you know how it goes. All I ask is that you don't start any trouble with her, even if she approaches you. I'll do my best to take care of this.
Gotcha. I can't make any promises though. If she gets on my nerves, I might lose my temper.
Please do your best to stop it from coming to that.
Ellen, I received your letter. This is Mrs. Lorraine.
Hello, Mrs. Lorraine. Sorry I couldn't catch you while ringing the doorbell, but no one answered. That's why I left the letter. Thank you for getting in touch with me.
Thank you for leaving the letter instead of making noise. Actually, I've been home all day. I snipped the wire for the doorbell because it's too distracting for my daughter. She's studying for the SATs right now. We want to take advantage of all the time she has now that it's spring break. So we've taken out everything that could distract her. TVs, phones, or anything that makes noise is out of the house.
I see. Well, I wanted to get in touch with you about another tenant, Brianne Burns. According to her, you've been giving her a pretty hard time lately. I already advised you not to go through her trash. Now she told me you used offensive language at her regarding her job.
Yeah, because it's true. She's a lady of the night. The rest of the world has been working at home because of the pandemic. But she thinks it's a good idea to go out and work. The governor just announced another state of emergency.
Please don't say things that are untrue. She works at a bar, and they're following proper protocol. She's doing the best she can to support herself. She knows the risks, but she doesn't have any other choice. I think you may be a little too concerned about Brianne's life.
What if she bumps into my daughter and gives her the virus? Even if it's not COVID, I'm sure that woman is covered in germs from the nasty men she meets. Don't even get me started on the way she dresses. It's obscene. She's a bad influence on my daughter.
You're being out of line. You're jumping to conclusions about what she does for a living and being too judgmental about the way she presents herself.
How could you let a woman like that live here? Kick her out ASAP. I bet she put you up to this, right?
Yes. She asked me to talk with you about your behavior. She may have a quick temper, but she's reasonable. I have no plans to remove her from the building.
Is that so? How dare you stand up for a filthy woman like her? I'm not going to let her keep getting away with all of this.
Why are you so fixated on her? I know that she didn't follow the rules about sorting her garbage, but when I talked to her about it, she understood and started doing it right.
She's bound to do something else. Why don't you stay out of this? If you're not going to help me, I'll have to take matters into my own hands. I don't have the time to talk about this with you over and over. Don't come to me with anything else about that horrible woman.
Ellen, are you awake?
Hello, Brienne. I'm really sorry about Mrs. Lorraine. Just hang tight for a little while longer. It seems like she has no intention of changing her behavior towards you. I'm looking into hiring a lawyer to see what our options are moving forward.
It's not that. That baby is still screaming, and I can't sleep at all.
The baby? The same one you mentioned yesterday?
Yeah. At first it wasn't bad, but every day it's getting louder and louder. Today was my first day off in a while, so I wanted to go to bed early. But that baby keeps screaming, and I can't sleep.
Like I said before, no one who lives here has a baby.
And, like I said, I hear a baby going absolutely crazy next door. The mother's probably neglecting the kid or something. It's screaming at the top of its lungs. You're the landlord, aren't you? You should call them up and tell them to do something about the baby.
I don't really understand.
Like I said, shut that baby up.
No, I got that part. What I don't understand is how a baby could be crying in the apartment next to you. Right now, no one is living in there.
What?
Are you sure it's coming from the one directly next to you? Could it be coming from below you? Or maybe one door over from you?
No way. I put my ear to the wall and it sounded like the baby was right next to me. Plus, the person who lives below me is an old man who lives alone.
Something's not right. I'm heading over to the building right now. Please give me a little more time to sort this out for you.
I don't really want to wait. Should I go and check it out myself?
That's not necessary. The last thing you need is to be charged with breaking and entering. Stay right where you are.
I don't even care that it woke me up anymore. I'm worried about that baby. Any parent would do something about a baby that's crying that much. Either they're neglecting it, or they're not even there at all. Or even worse, it could be the ghost of a baby.
Do not go in that apartment. It won't be much longer. Just stay where you are.
That's it. I'm going over there with a cross. I'm a tough chick. I'm getting to the bottom of this.
No, I'll be there in a few minutes. The door is locked anyway. Just wait for me, okay?
Ellen,
Where have you been? Please tell me you didn't go into that apartment.
I did. There was a baby in there.
What? Like a real baby?
Yeah. I couldn't tell how old, but probably not a year old yet. It was pretty small.
Was there anyone else?
No, just some blankets and diapers.
Gee. Yeah, the door wasn't locked either. Someone's been living here secretly. I can't believe it. Stay with the baby for now. I'll be there in a few minutes.
Don't you think this kid is hungry? You should probably pick up some baby formula before you get here. Get a bottle too.
Good idea. I'll stop by and see. There's no way of telling when the mother will be back. In the meantime, why don't you call the police?
Let me see, Amanda. What have you done with her? Why is she with you right now? She should be at school.
Please, wait a little while longer. Amanda's sleeping right now. She's been crying since she came to me in the middle of the night.
I don't care if she's sleeping or not. Give her back to me now.
I'll get in touch with you again when she wakes up. Please wait until then.
I'm not waiting another second. I'm calling the police
You need to calm down and listen to me.
How do you expect me to calm down? You kidnapped my daughter. Do you have any idea how I felt when I woke up to your texts that you had her? When did you even take her?
Listen to me very carefully. Amanda gave birth to a baby girl. She snuck into one of the empty apartments and gave birth on her own. She secretly had a baby, kept it in the empty apartment, and has been leaving your apartment in the middle of the night to take care of it. Yesterday, Brienne heard a baby's voice coming from next door, so she went over to investigate. She found the baby and stayed with it until Amanda showed up.
You're lying. She was pregnant? She never looked pregnant.
Some people never show physical signs of being pregnant. That's why she was able to keep it a secret this whole time. We took her and the baby to the hospital in the middle of the night. Both the baby and Amanda are healthy.
I don't believe this.
I don't blame you. Like I said, when Amanda wakes up, I'll get in touch with you. Please wait until then.
Amanda needs to be studying. She can't afford to take a day off.
That should be the least of your concerns. Amanda's exhausted from looking after her daughter and from being forced to study. We've contacted the father of the baby to let him know. Apparently, she was keeping it a secret from him, too. I know this is a lot to take in all at once. If you don't believe me, wait until you can speak with Amanda directly.
I don't believe any of this. I know you're lying. I knew that filthy woman would rub off on my precious daughter. I bet she spun this whole wicked lie, didn't she? It's probably her baby, not Amanda's.
No, it's Amanda's. And the father is someone who used to live in the same building. Do you remember a boy named Evan who used to live on the floor above you?
He's the father, but I made them break up.
Well, they continued to see each other even after he moved away. According to Amanda, they haven't been able to see each other at all lately since they're both too busy.
Evan's mother was no better than that harlot Brienne. She gave her son a warped view of women. This is exactly why I had them break up. I was afraid of this.
Amanda told me you used to say the same things about Evan's mother as you do about Brienne. Just because a person works late at night doesn't mean they're doing something indecent. That's a very offensive thing to assume.
I'll be having a long talk with her to get to the bottom of this.
Amanda just woke up. I'm going to send you my location. Please come over as soon as you can. We'll be waiting for you.
Ellen, I was hoping you could forget about all of this. I'd like you to tell the same to Brienne.
What? Forget about all of this. I'm with Brienne right now. And she said absolutely not.
I'm ready to pay whatever amount of money you want to keep this all among the three of us. I want you to forget that there was ever a baby in that apartment. Just give that child over to me, and we can put this all behind us.
I can't do that. Amanda said she has every intention of raising this child herself. You told all of us that you're going to help out. You said that, didn't you?
I had to say that if I didn't, then Amanda would never come home. She's still a child. A child can't raise a child. Amanda has a bright future ahead of her. If she raises that child, all her studying will have been for nothing.
I don't think you really have a say in this. Sure, Amanda is still young and in school, but she's the rightful mother of the baby.
She's far too young to raise a child. She has no idea how difficult it is. I have to put my foot down and make sure that baby gets raised properly.
I understand how you feel, but the father has already said He wants to be involved in raising the child along with Amanda. He's over 18 now, so he's legally able to work full time.
You think a kid with just a high school degree can support a family? Not to mention a kid whose mother is a streetwalker. He has no sense of morality. As a mother, I have to put a stop to all of this.
If they both feel they're unfit to raise the child, they've talked about putting it up for adoption. However, it seems like both of them are taking responsibility and are willing to do whatever it takes to raise their daughter. Why would you try and get in the way of that?
There's no way they can raise a child. Amanda's going to have to drop out of school. I can't sit by and watch my daughter ruin her life. What kind of mother would I be?
Like I said, unfortunately, you don't have much say in this matter. They're both fully aware of the challenges ahead of them. The main one being able to financially support the child. Despite that, she wants to move forward, raising her baby.
She's not even an adult yet. It doesn't matter what she wants.
You're a psychopath. Leave them alone and let them figure out things on their own.
Ellen, how dare you speak to me that way?
It's Brienne. My blood was boiling from reading your texts, so I took the phone from Ellen. Being insulted is one thing, but I can't stand being insulted by a lunatic like you. You didn't have the right to say anything bad about anyone with the way you've treated your own daughter. You think you know it all. You're ignoring your daughter's wishes to raise her baby and forcing her to be apart from the person she cares about. I wouldn't be surprised if she asks to come live with me instead.
Excuse me?
Amanda's been looking for a way to get away from you for a while now. You never let her see her friends. You never let her do the things she wants, and you force her to study every day. She said her life is miserable. You're to blame for her sneaking off and getting pregnant. If you raised your daughter better, it would never happened.
Don't you dare speak to me about how to raise a child. I've done everything I could for her. Thanks to me, she's been top of her class.
Just because she got good grades doesn't make you a good mother. It makes her a good student. Having a child in high school is extremely difficult. I get that. It's something that you may never forgive her for. But if she says she wants to take responsibility and raise the child herself, you need to respect that and do whatever you can to support her. That child needs both of her parents.
What makes you an expert on raising children?
Because I know what it's like not having any parents around to raise you. My parents abandoned me when I was a child. They put me into an orphanage when I was too young to remember. Even if my parents were poor or only high school graduates, I would have given anything to be with them. Rather than condemning her, you should praise Amanda for stepping up. Not many people her age would be this mature.
She's just too naive to know the reality of raising a child.
It's not even like she'll have to raise her on her own. Evan is going to support her and do his best to take care of them both. If you were an 18-year-old guy and got told you had a kid, what would you do? Most guys would run for the hills. Evan's the opposite. He's sticking around because he's got a good head on his shoulders.
I don't care. Like I said, Amanda has a bright future ahead of her.
Amanda and Evan are going to do whatever they can to make sure their baby has a bright future too. Whether you accept it or not, Amanda's future has changed courses. She's going to put her time into making sure her daughter has a good life. If you think studying is more important than that, you're dumber than I thought you were.
I haven't finished raising Amanda yet. How can she be expected to raise a child of her own if there's still more I have to teach her? If you become a parent one day, you'll understand.
The fact of the matter is, it's Amanda's choice, and she decided to keep it for herself. She told me that it was only a matter of time before she ran away anyway. Surprised? You shouldn't be. You pushed her to the edge. You think locking her in her room and forcing her to study wouldn't make her resent you? She said it felt like a prison.
I don't believe it. Why wouldn't she say anything if she felt that way?
She did. You just ignored it every time she brought it up. She said to me, wanting to raise this child is the first time I've had my own thought in longer than I can remember. I saw her bags packed in that abandoned apartment. She was planning on leaving to raise the child and completely cutting ties with you.
She said that.
She told me she had second thoughts, though. She wanted to show you she was willing to take responsibility for having a baby. But before she could work up the courage to tell you that she was pregnant, she ended up having the baby. She realized she was in way over her head after the baby was born. She decided she couldn't face you and that she really was going to leave home. You're to blame for all of that.
Where did I go wrong?
I'm not sure if I have the right to say this, since I never knew my parents, but shouldn't a parent always be on their kid's side no matter what? There are times a parent may have to be strict, but it should be followed with support and affection to let their child know they're still there for them. You, on the other hand, think you know what's best for Amanda and want to take her child and force her to study, which she's told you repeatedly she hates doing. That's not looking out for Amanda. That's you being controlling and selfish. She told me the only time she feels like herself is when she's with Evan. When she's at home, she just feels like a slave.
It was all in her best interest. Why doesn't she understand that?
Why don't you understand? You forced this all on her and ignored her when she had valid feelings against it all. If you really cared about her as much as you say you do, you would listen to how she felt. You should have put your energy into making sure she was okay instead of going through my trash and complaining about me walking up the stairs.
You really know how to get under my skin, don't you?
The only positive from the way you've acted is that I've shown Amanda what not to do when raising a child. Although if you really think you raised her right, then you need to have faith. She'll raise her daughter right. I'd hate having you as a mother, but I'm still jealous Amanda has a mother at all.
I've heard enough of your preaching. You talk way too much. Fine. I'll talk with Amanda and see what she has to say. As long as that child has parents, at least it won't turn out the way you did.
You are the most awful person I've ever met in my life. I don't care though, as long as you talk with Amanda and actually listen to what she has to say. At least you're not as bad as a mother who would abandon her own child. You may hate me and think I'm a worthless person, but I'm begging you to please do what you can to support them. Please. She needs you now more than ever.
After that, Mrs. Lorraine agreed to let Amanda and her boyfriend raise their baby. One of the conditions was that Amanda had to finish high school. While Amanda was at school, Mrs. Lorraine took care of the baby. She may have not been the best mother in the world, but she's a fantastic grandmother. She loves that child more than anything. Having a baby at all, let alone as a high school student, is a life-changing experience. There was always a very real possibility of having to put the child up for adoption if they couldn't handle it. Amanda and Evan knew the unbelievable difficulties that stood before them. But they took responsibility and did whatever they had to. I really admire their maturity. They owe Brienne for discovering the baby. Who knows how much longer Amanda could have handled it all on her own. It was extremely dangerous for the child and for her health to try and do it all herself. Luckily, both she and the baby are doing fine now, though. I've gone over to visit them in their new apartment, where the three of them live together as a new family. I almost forgot to mention, Brienne and Mrs. Lorraine made amends and are friendly to each other now. In a surprising turn of events, Mrs. Lorraine even went over to Brienne's apartment with a plate of cookies, thanking her for everything she did for Amanda. Brienne said to me, "She's all right for now, but if I catch her even looking at my garbage, I'm gonna go crazy." Before my father passed away, he told me, "Treasure every interaction you have with others." Being in charge of an apartment sure gives me the chance to have a lot of interactions with people. I'll continue to cherish my father's words and deal with whatever life throws at me.